Hello everyone, hope everybody's warm. It's very cold here in the Carolinas today. This morning it was 1 degree Fahrenheit and started last Wednesday night kind of late, about 8 p.m. or so. It started snowing on us, and here where I'm at, it dumped about 6 inches. Now I know to a lot of y'all that's not nothing, but it only takes about a half an inch or so here in the Carolinas to shut everything down. We're just not prepared for snow. The road companies here just can't handle it. People can't drive on it. It's terrible. But haven't been able to get out here in the shop. I have a heat pump, and I don't have electrical strips in it that come on. And you know how heat pumps run in the wintertime when it drops below 30 degrees, the heat strips are supposed to come on. I've only got 100 amps going out to the shop, and that's just too much for it running heat strips, so we don't use any. But anyway, you notice the Hammarlund HQ-140 here on the bench. I'm waiting on parts, and I'm at the mercy of the U.S. mail. We haven't had mail in 3 days here. We still got 4 or 5 inches of snow and ice out there on the highways. All the main roads are clear, but everything started melting Thursday evening and then froze back. So we're just big sheets of ice on the highways here, so no mail service. I've been working on the 180 a little bit, and one thing that I had to fix was the front panel was bent. You can see where the paint is messed up around that screw. That was actually bent about 1/4 of an inch out. And I got that fixed, and waiting on parts to fix this antenna trimmer capacitor. So I got it temporarily held in place right now, but the whole thing works pretty good, and it's going to be a great receiver. I am just happy to even have this one. We wanted the HQ-140X with those chocolate knobs, but you just couldn't find it. Went around there, and mail found this one and sent it to me, and it's going to be a great rig. I like it, and even though without going through it and restoring it, it works pretty good. The frequencies are off, so it's got to be aligned, but I can't do nothing to get the parts. Well, yesterday I had a package at FedEx, so I went and picked it up, and let me show you this. Yes, Hammarlund HQ-140X with those beautiful milk chocolate knobs. Now this thing is in beautiful condition. It really looks nice. I mean, the front panel, other than needing a little bit of cleaning, you can see some yellowing up here around the knobs. That's going to have to be cleaned off, but other than that, it looks good. Now it does. This thing is from the 1950s, so we got some scratches and some nicks and stuff on it, but the front panel is just beautiful. It's the trim around it. You see the chrome looking trim, or the stainless looking trim around the edge of it. It's just perfect. There's nothing at all wrong with it. I mean, it is just in beautiful shape, and you can see the side of it there. You can see how nice and pretty and shiny it is. It almost from a distance makes it look like it's not even there. And it's like you're seeing past it, like the cover's off, but actually that's just the you can see the reflection right here of the vacuum tube voltmeter shining in. That shows you just how beautiful the paint is on this thing. It is just a great looking rig. Well, mail found this, a few days ago, and he talked with the guy that was on eBay, and it was supposed to be sold, and something was wrong with it. It lost sensitivity or something, so I think Mel did some kind of deal with them and got it at a great price. So here it is sitting on my bench, and it is a beautiful piece of equipment. And here is a straight on shot on it. Now the dials are a little bit yellowed, but you know, this thing is old, and you know, so is the 180, but you see how pretty and white the dials is on those. So I might look around. I'm not even going to try to get the yellowing off these. I will clean the back of them and wipe the front of them just to see if they'll shine up a little bit, but they are a little yellow. But other than that, I mean, it's beautiful. It really is. And I have a package here that came with it. And inside this package, let me move the camera so you can see this. So here inside the package is the original user's manual that came with it. And even in the center of it, let's see here, there we go, you can even see the schematic, and the manual is like it's almost untouched, never used. It's in great shape. Also inside is another little package that contains the warranty card that came with it, and here's the top of the tag that was still inside the radio. I went ahead and untied it and removed it because I didn't want it to get damaged. But what I found was amazing to even see, that inside this is this little brand envelope, and you see on there it says relay. So what's in there? There you go. There is the 2 pins that plugs into the relay jack in the back of this Hammarlund HQ-140. The original pins. Amazing that those are still with it after all these years. It is just a beautiful piece of equipment. You can see there's a few little nicks and scratches around the handles here, but you know, that's normal. But I mean, the side of it is just beautiful, and across the top, you know, we can see a nick here and there. That's a little scratch going across there, and a little place will look like something may have set on top of it. But other than that, man, she is beautiful. And we'll raise the hood. You can see underneath it now. You can see there's 2 hot spots. That tells me that, you know, this radio has been used. It has been sitting on somebody's tabletop or desk, and they have spent some time listening to it, which is what these things are meant to. But you know, looking inside, it is just absolutely beautiful inside. It's clean. There's no dust. It doesn't look like it's been washed or anything. You can see the silk screening still on the aluminum chassis, or the, yeah, I think that's aluminum. But yeah, it just looks good. Now the radio was listed as being recapped, and I'm looking here, and this is the original cap that comes in the HQ-140s, and the reason you can tell is these markings on the top. And I don't know if this cap has been restuffed. I do know there's no caps underneath of it. It's still wired in circuit, and if it's been restuffed, someone did a excellent job on it. So this is probably going to have to be replaced. But yes, it just looks amazing. You can see the back of the dials are are pretty good and white, so it looks like that yellowing is on the front of it. So the way I understand that there was a problem with the receiving, either low sensitivity or something, from what I can make out from what Mel told us. But you know, I hooked the thing up and turned it on, and sure enough, there was no static, no pop, no anything from the speakers. It did light up. Again, I turned it off and I started checking to make sure my speaker connections was okay and all that was fine, and I turned the power switch on again and it would not power up. But this time I had the radio over on its side. When I set the radio down, it automatically powered up. So there is a loose connection in it. Since most of the caps had been replaced, I wasn't worried about turning it on because we already had it on anyway. When it came in, there was so much snow I didn't come out to the shop. I went ahead and unboxed it in the house and put it on the table and hooked it up. So we'll go ahead and we'll power the rig up. You see the lights come on. We're on ABC. Now you can see the meters coming up and dropping back down. But yet you hear nothing at all from the speaker. No static crashes, no anything. So we'll come here to the sensitivity and we'll check it. Turn it up and down, no problems. Turn the crystal selectivity, still nothing. I mean, it shows no sign of receiving. As you can see, the S meter is on about a S3, and it does not change as you rotate through the main tuning. So let me show you what I found that was causing that problem. So I was moving this thing around on the table. All of a sudden I started hearing static and stuff in the speaker, and I said, okay, what's going on? Something is definitely loose in it. Now this is a different problem than the power up issue. I got a feeling that either a tube or something may be causing that issue. We'll have to get in that and check. But the reason why there's no volume is that I got in here and I started looking around, and you can see right here on the front panel is some double-sided tape that's come loose, and on that double-sided tape is this little bracket with an RCA phono jack. And you heard as I moved it then, we heard noise into the speaker. But this is actually tied to one side of the sensitivity control. Now what they're trying to do here, I'm not sure. Maybe they're running this through some kind of S meter or something. I don't know. I have no idea. I do know you got to be a little careful with it, because set the voltmeter up here. That says overload. Okay, let me show you this. I'll make sure you can see the voltmeter. At the same time, I'll back off just a little bit. I'll go from chassis to this mounting tab. That was backwards. But you can see there's 229 volts DC on this bracket, and that's why they had double-sided tape to hold it off of. So if you just reach down and grab that thing, you could get a nasty little tingle. So I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to get a shorting plug and put in this. Okay, instead of risking getting a shorting plug on it, I just went ahead and attached a jumper clip to one side, and we'll attach it to the center connector. see, we now have audio.
Plus, we get an extra 20 or 15% off with our Macy's card or savings pass. Or huge savings on specials. Yeah, like junior fashion, boots for us, jewelry, men's.
Okay, we have that jumped out and we got it turned around, and I actually had to put in a different speaker because these speakers that I have are not loading up that good on the output of this thing.
Delivery, right. I don't think anybody could be upset with her.
So Andy Murray's got a bad hip. He continues on here. I've obviously been going through a really...
What happens when he dies? Since the younger beneficiary now...
We own the 0.54 to 1.32 megahertz setting.
Well, that's the Marcus Peters factor there. As Mariota was scrambling out of the pocket, a couple of short receivers about 5-10 yards down the field. Both of them were covered. He had Corey Davis one-on-one with Marcus Peters about 40 yards.
As you can see, the broadcast band is wide open. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that we're not getting a whole lot of volume out of the audio gain, which tells me there's another problem. Also, the lower band seems to be pretty much spot on, no problem there. Okay, we're now on the 5.7 to 10 megahertz band.
You never heard it before, have you?
You would say the keyword is to change, but then let's wait. Change will
You see great signal level. Noise limit seems to work okay. Not a lot of activity that I'm seeing up around the 7 megahertz band, so it tells me that the sensitivity is way down for some reason. Alright, so I'm lightly coupled into the antenna with the signal generator on 7.0 megahertz, and we're dead on 7.0 over here, and on this side we're at about almost 7.3 megahertz. Now you see I'm putting a AM signal, but we're in VFO mode. Zero beat that signal. And the signal level is probably about minus 30 dBm. So it should be pegging this meter here, but it's barely picking it up. So seems like on the broadcast bands it seems to be working okay, but from about 5 megahertz up the sensitivity is way down. And we'll switch over to AM. Turn the ABC on. And yeah, I told you wrong, the meter is not going to show anything. I keep forgetting that about these receivers. So yeah, we're peaking out at about almost 7.3 megahertz as the volume. Turn the sensitivity on up. It does have the meter pegged, but the audio gain seems to be way down. I mean, we're just about full blast on the audio gain over here. I don't know if you can hear that, but it does sound like we have either a loose connection or a noisy component in the receiver. Okay, we're now feeding 12.5 megahertz into it, and I think we're going to find it's going to be way off too. And you can hear that noise. Let me turn the tone off and maybe y'all can hear that crackling. Yeah, there's definitely a crackling in there. So, you know, at this point it could be that this noisy component could be what's causing the receiver gain to be down so low. It's just hard to say at this moment. So over here I have this on 14 megahertz, was generating a 14 megahertz signal. You can see our level indicator is pegged in the wall, but over here we're on about 14.5. So yeah, that's off pretty good. Alright, we're feeding a 28.2 megahertz signal into the receiver, and over here we're sitting at 28.2. On the main tuning we're sitting at 30 megahertz. And I'm hoping y'all can hear this snap, crackling, and popping going on. It'll be interesting to see if it's the same problem that Paul at Mr. Carlsons Lab found in his HQ-140 that he did his video on. I think there was a resistor capacitor combination that he had in his that was making all this noise. I'm feeding a 0.740 kilohertz signal into the receiver now, and we're on the 0.540 to 1.32 megahertz band, and you can see it is spot on the broadcast band. So it looks like the alignment is just about perfect down on the bottom end, but whatever's going on is on the 5 megahertz and up. And just to verify that, I'm putting 5 megahertz into the antenna connection, and we're just about spot on. It's a little bit off, not far. Well, anyway guys, we'll go ahead and end this video here. I wanted to keep this one just a short and just kind of introduce the Hammarlund pair, and for those that haven't seen the other one. And looks like we're gonna have a fun job working on the HQ-140. We got several problems here that we're gonna have to go through, and one of them is going to be aligning it after we go in and start checking some components. And I feel like that's probably a resistor and maybe a mica cap or something that's gone bad in it. For the upper bands to be off frequency so far, you know, something has happened or has come loose, or cold solder joint or faulty component. Could be even some voltage issues that we'll have to go through and look at. But if you haven't seen Paul over at Mr. Carlsons Lab video on the HQ-140, I'll link it down below. I can no ways do a video as good and pronounced as he does it, so you know, just stick with me when we go through these. But as soon as we get some parts in and get some time, we'll be tearing these things down and going through them and getting them right. I wanted to add in it was really nice to see this thing come in. Mel had sent me an email and said here comes a happy New Year's present, so big thank you go out to Mel. It's like we're gonna have our boat anchor table all fixed up here pretty soon. We'll put one receiver with the Ranger, that's the Ranger 1 that we did a video on, and we'll put the other receiver with the Viking 2, so that'll make nice pairs for those two old boat anchors. Anyway, just wanted to show you the Hammarlund pair, and we'll go ahead and get this posted up tonight hopefully, and it'll be the first video for the 2018 year. So until the next video, we'll catch you later now.